Hello and welcome, ladies. I'm Ruby Ye, the founder of the Heart of All Women, and I am just very, very thrilled to be introducing you to Marie, one of our new members from Chicago, or as she would call, Sister Friend Marie. So, Marie, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Oh, thank you for the surprise of inviting me. I was like, yay. It's when I was telling you that I look like a tired train wreck after so much travel, but it's so worth it being here with all of you. I appreciate it so much.
So, the reason I wanted to invite Marie is because as soon as she joined our community, I just fell in love with her. She was so fascinating with all the different things that she posted. Diverse things of all these wonderful articles and videos about women's empowerment, about brain science, and I just thought, wow, this woman is just so fascinating. And one of the things I found particularly interesting about her was that she referred to all women as sister friends. So
Yeah.
she called herself Sister Friend Marie. She always calls me Sister Friend Ruby. And she refers to every single woman in such a manner. So I've always been curious, how did that start, Marie, and what does that mean to you?
Sister friend Marie, or sister friend Ruby, and sister friend in my collective sisterhood came kind of naturally one day because I have such an affinity for the divine feminine.
Mm.
At the age of 4 years old was my first debate about the divine feminine and the existence of that, if you can believe that.
Wow.
So the the main reason that the sister and the friend go together, not separated by any space, is
Mhm.
because if you have a sister, even if it's a biological sister or a community sister, she's not necessarily your friend. And if you have a friend, she's not necessarily your sister, but when you put them together, you have the most beautiful communion of friendship between two women. You know, even if your biological sister, how many of us can say that my biological sister is my best friend? We
Mm.
warm from that. Or my best girlfriend or my, high school friend was also my sister because I know it's a union. You know what I'm saying? It's a
Oh,
union.
that's beautiful. That's beautiful. And that's so what the Heart of All Women is all about. Because we refer to the women here as the global sisterhood,
Yes.
right? And and it's very much, especially like you say, it's about that friendship. Because one of our models, which we love to share, is that the whole world of women now are your sisters, your girlfriends, your aunties, your godmothers, and your mentors.
Yes.
So of course you that we get too long. We say sister, friend, godmother, auntie, angel,
All of the
and
above.
mentor, right? But women
Yeah.
can be any of that. And the two terms which I use the most often is, hey, we're girlfriends, right? We're girlfriends from all over the world, and we're sisters from all over the world. So thank you so much for explaining that, Marie, because I've always been really, really curious. So you are truly my sister friend, Marie.
Well,
So
thank
Marie,
you.
tell me what happened when you were 4 years old. What was your experience? That I mean, how could a 4-year-old think about the Divine Mother? I find that very interesting.
My mother's been saying that since I was, how did I get you? I think at 4, we were living in Michigan, and we had 2 houses, and we lived in the city and in the Michigan part of the time on a farm, which was fun for me. I loved the country because it was quiet. And we had a housekeeper by the name of Mrs. Martin. And Mrs. Martin took it upon us to teach us Bible study. I mean, that was her thing. Every night she would teach us about the Bible and God and blah, blah, blah. So hey, it was interesting. So I would listen, but she kept talking about Father God and his children. So I said, excuse me, Miss Martin, where's mother? He's got children. He has to have a mother. And she said, no, he doesn't. I said, yes, he does. Men can't give birth, Mrs. Martin. They can't be mommies and daddies. They have to be one or the other. And she said, if you don't stop talking about that, you won't go to heaven. I said, will mother be there? She said, you need to go to bed now. And she never taught me Bible school again.
But what happened besides that? So obviously that wasn't important that you had that realization yourself, right?
I come
But
from
what
a
happened again
family.
when you were that young that shaped you, like, who you were in school and all that?
I think I was born that way. In fact, when I was in California as an adult, well, young adult, there was a professor who did pre-birth memory classes. And I learned from those classes that I actually even have pre-birth memories. It's really strange. So I remember being somewhere and it turned out it was the womb. And I remember the bright lights upon birth. They were too bright for my eyes. So I think I might be one of those people who didn't drink from the river of forgetfulness before she was born, because I came in very cognizant, very wanting to know about science. I'm very old. So when I was a little girl of 4, the Sputnik had just gone up. Russia had just sent up the first, space traveling vehicle with a dog in it. Wow, that was amazing, because back then in the 50s, the only thing like that was comic books, right? So that was our science book. So I went to kindergarten fully anticipating at the age of 4, because I started a year earlier, that we would be studying atomic energy. Much to my unhappiness and dismay, they spent a whole year on ABCs. It was a total waste of time. So it just went downhill from there. And that's the reason I began to really focus, though. I just always had a keen sense of nature. I'd be by myself in nature because I wanted to be, and I'd listen. So in those moments of quiet, listening to the leaves, the frog, I began to understand the web of life at a very early age and our connectedness. And I felt there was a science to it because, I was a science buff. Even if it was a comic book, I understood atomic energy. And now it's nuclear and subnuclear quantum. But that's how I started out. I'll be honest, I just had a knowing, genetic knowing from our ancestors. We all have our grandmothers and our great-great-grandmothers inside of us. And everything they learned is coded in your genes. So like my teacher from Karana from Australia, she taught us that the Australian natives, the original natives, never worried about losing their culture because all they have to do is sing it back again because it was written in their genes. And my Native American teachers and different women have told me we can find access all that information within us. You just have to go in.
So how did you cope with school? Because you were obviously like this little genius child that was so precocious. I mean, you wanted to study science in kindergarten. Here you were learning ABC. So how did you go through the rest of schooling, and how did that affect you?
I learned how to doodle really well. I teach doodling to my kids in school now. And I had these imaginary friends that would come in a circus troupe, and I just watched them perform most of the day. That was what I did.
So
And
you really kind of had your own life. You had your own inner life as you sat there in class.
yeah, my own. And I've always been very connected with what I call God. And it was just always the knowingness. Like walking to school, I would feel the wind blow. So I would call each wind by its name. I knew mother wind, father wind, and I knew baby wind. When I got older, I could call upon the wind and get the wind blowing because I knew them by their energetic signatures. We're all connected in this web of life, and that's the reason I love quantum physics, because our ancestors, our great ancestors, most of them knew this.
Yeah.
And scientists are just catching up. They're a little slow. I tell them that all the time.
So did you graduate really early then? Did you get out of school early?
I, I wasn't so well. I was held back in kindergarten because I was too young for kindergarten, even though I had completed it. They made me complete it again in Chicago. And so it was but I had a great kindergarten teacher. So she let me write for the school newspaper and everything in kindergarten. So it was cool. After that, no, when I went to another school, we came from a basically African American community. The schools were not very superior. Then I moved to another neighborhood, which was more affluent, and it was very wealthy in areas of it. So of course the schools were different. So when I got there, we were made to feel not harshly inferior, but basically inferior. My reading score in seventh grade was third grade reading level because nobody taught me to read. I wanted to read so bad.
Oh wow,
And
that's
then
so
your parents back then, they're working and my mother's taking care of all of us children. So nobody thought to sit down and teach you to read. So at the end of seventh grade, I was told I was inferior reader, blah, 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 but I love science. Oh, I love my science teacher in seventh grade. So at the end of the summer, our eighth grade teacher, who we would be with the next year, asked us to read as many good books as we could that summer. That summer, I read 150 books. I
wow.
started at very baby books, Disney books and Edge Filicello, and I worked my way up to the Bible and the Red Door and King Arthur's Knights, and I taught myself. And so when I went back in eighth grade, my reading score was out of freshman year of college.
Wow. Wow. So you had that inner ability. So, so Marie, it's fascinating how you just had such, like I said, this very inner directed childhood.
Mhm.
And yet when you put your mind to it, you could blossom any area that you wanted to, right? So you were behind the reading and all of a sudden you more than caught up, you surpassed. So one of the other thing which I think is so lovely about you, particularly being in our women's community, is that it's obvious you are so passionate about women and you work a lot with women. You are supporting and working with women all the time. You mentioned to me at one point you worked at a crisis center for women.
Yes.
And, so there's that whole beautiful side of you. And then there's that part of you that is like an educational realm where, you're tutoring people. And, you're tutoring, young children all the way up to university to
Yes.
know that they can just follow their own possibilities with their own head, something that you didn't have when you were growing up, right? So it's so wonderful that you're offering that to so many people now, especially children who may not like the current school system, or, people in high school or college who feel like, oh, I don't want to go down that normal track. So what a gift that is that you're offering. And what I would really like to kind of dive in now is, again, your work with women.
Mhm.
So, Marie, what is it that you wish for every single woman around the globe? What is your heart's desire for all the women around the world?
What I would love for all women is to wake up one day like I did, and I think it's on my website, the story of labels. I'd like for all women to at least one morning wake up, even if it's for 15 minutes, and forget who they are. To just be all the labels, all the post-it notes off. I did that one morning. I woke up. I had no idea who I was. I didn't know where I was. It was the most horrifying feeling you can imagine. And I was like, okay, who am I? Who am I? Where am I? And as I was trying to remember, felt like I was floating off the bed, literally up to the ceiling because I was so light. And I said, oh, please, please, God, help me remember who I am. I'm about to float out of the room, right? And then each memory of who I was fell on me like a wet wool blanket. You're a woman. And I went down a little bit towards the bed. You live here. bam, you're a single mom, bam, next time you I hit the bed, bam, really hard and woke up again. Realizing, I said, oh my gosh, our actual body weight is the weight of all the labels that we carry that other people have given us and
Mm.
our world has given us. Because without it, we'd be so light. You know, everything's so dictated and written on. And so if you could just wake up for 15 minutes and not have the pain that you had as a child, not have the divorce in your mind, not having the betrayals, not even remembering the good stuff, because even those have labels. And for a minute, just say, this is me, pure spirit, pure baby. Now, people say babies are born innocent, but they really aren't, because they come into genetic memory of the family lineage. They come into soul memory of a soul's sojourn in all its incarnations or understandings of self. So,
Why do
unless
you
it's,
want that? I'm going to ask you why. I'm just going to be a devil's advocate here.
uh-huh,
I want that for every woman. What good would it to do for a woman to wake up one morning
mhm.
and just to have no identity?
The main part of that would be the lightness, the
Ah,
absolute freedom, and the realize that the heaviness that you feel as a woman is really an illusion. There are stories that have been pasted upon you from your mother, your grandmother, your father, from your job. So just for a moment to feel yourself light. Now we do in
okay,
the
so
morning.
that's great, great, great. I love that. Okay, so now that makes sense to me. All right,
Yeah,
I totally understand what you're saying, but like,
right,
I want to be the devil's advocate. All right,
right,
because from a practical woman's point of view, who's busy, she barely has 10 minutes to even like nurture herself. Right.
right,
So
right,
she hears somebody say, "Well, I wish for you to not have any identity." Her
right.
response would be say, "Why? What for?" But you just answered it. Freedom, lightness.
Mhm.
Now we know that's really important. Could you further articulate on that?
I was just talking to a friend who's in the process of purchasing a retreat center, and I did a little mentoring session with her. And what I got in meditative prayer, because I'm sixth sensory telepathic, which just is our first language. Telepathy was what we started with before we developed oral language. It was mind to mind vibrational communication. Animals still have it quite well. They know when you're coming home, not even if you come home at a different time. They're very sensitive. So I was talking to her, and she's very much a go getter. She's busy, busy, busy. But what I got was she was tired, exhausted, as I was exhausted. And maybe you said you came out of corporate America. Hello. There's a reason you came out. Help. you know, these are wonderful abilities, but they're all very much connected to our human ego needs. They're connected to the busy mind. But what about the little girl inside of you that just wants to play? The little girl of you that wants to lay in the sunshine and chew on a blade of grass. And the body who wants to knit itself and heal from the energy of the earth. You never lay on the grass unless you're on vacation. And so, what does the body have to do? We always put our human self, our little girl self, on hold so the big girl can do all the stuff she does so beautifully. But
Hmm.
it's a little lopsided though, because who are you doing all this for? Who are you becoming famous for? What are you acquiring this education for? What are you acquiring this money for? Who is it for? How long will it last? And on your last day here on the planet Earth, are you going to be really pissed off at yourself for missing a whole bunch of stuff? That was really the fun part about being here.
So I guess I'm going to ask that question again then.
Mhm.
I would invite you to think about what is it that you wish for every single woman around the world?
I wish every single woman around the world tap into her inner core and remember thoroughly and completely who she really is.
Ah, okay, that's beautiful.
Yes.
And what could that mean? What does that mean?
It's heavy. It's heavy. All the roles. I mean, when you're a little girl, you're dictated even what color clothes you can wear and how to dress. It's better now because girls go, there. But when I was coming up, we couldn't wear pants except to play outside. But to school, we had to wear skirts. You have to do this. Here's another good one. Boys are smarter than girls back when I was growing up. So even if you were smarter than them, you had to play dumber. And in some relationships, even in this modern time, I counsel women, they have to let the man think that he has all the answers. Hello, that's all heavy stuff. And I think I see women give away their femininity and accept more masculinity in themselves to become that independent woman, but you don't have to do that. There's nothing stronger than the divine feminine, than you as a woman, the mitochondria carrier of who we are as a species. A man can't transfer what the species is, only mother to daughter.
So, so what I'm hearing you say, okay, if I may kind of interpret what I heard you say in really simple terms that every single woman can relate to,
Okay.
is that what you really want for every single woman is for them to peel away all these definitions from culture, from society, from family, from the world that we've grown up in, and really find their true selves inside.
Yes.
Is
Because
that what I'm hearing you say?
yes, because what's there is usually very beautiful
So
and
how,
it's very needed.
oh, what's beautiful and needed. So maybe what we can do is conclude, because again, you are a woman who's worked with thousands, maybe tens of thousands of women to
Yes.
help them through this process. You
Hmm.
know, whether it may be because they're getting a divorce, they're going through a crisis, or they don't know what to do with your life. You've just been an amazing shepherd, shall I say, or a friend, or sister friend Marie, who supported them through this process, right? Of what you just described, of getting to who they really are and stripping away all that stuff. Like you said, waking up one day and not having all that weight anymore.
Yes,
So
exactly.
why would you, so in conclusion, is there just one simple thing that you would offer every single woman that would be practical for every woman to consider, to have a taste of what it is that you're talking about?
I think so. I had to stop for a minute and think about that. I think that's a good question. How do you put all that in a beautiful little gift box and say, here, this is for you? Um, First of all, I want you to give up feeling guilty
Ah,
about anything, including mankind's fall from grace. Give it up. Just let it go for a minute. Okay? None of us are perfect. We all make mistakes, but we are made in the image of the divine or God or however you want to say that. So there's the old saying, God don't make no junk. And you're here for a reason. You fit perfectly in this mosaic. So what I would give to you in a box is your puzzle piece that you could put with your puzzle piece and with my puzzle piece. And when we ended up, we'd have the big picture of
mm,
how beautiful we really are and that we never ever fell from grace. Only in our minds and our illusions and our need to be entertained by drama. We're all safe. We're all beautiful. We're all loved. We're all one, connected arm to arm. Now, if you love yourself,
mm.
And that leaves room for me to love you because there's nothing in you that I don't see that's not beautiful, and vice versa. So eventually, as women, we have to find our voice and say what we say is just as important as anyone else's word or opinion. And again, you don't have to act like a man to get people to listen to you. Stay in your own divine power. And that's not weak. There's nothing weak about women. Nothing at all. We give birth. Ew. Look what happens to your body. We're strong enough to do that. We're smart enough to know how to protect our children when we're healthy. So we have everything. So that would be my gift. Your piece, your little puzzle piece that you could bring to the big picture and stick it in the right place and make the big picture of all that we are on this planet and beautiful. Not even a mosaic. It would be just a beautiful painting of who we are becoming and who we've always been.
So it's like letting go of the guilt,
Mhm.
having the courage and the confidence to speak our truth
Yes.
from our own feminine way, like you said, not like a man.
Yes.
And then being that puzzle piece that we can bring that's uniquely us.
Yes.
Okay? And I love that visual, uh, sister friend Marie, because that's the thing. I think women, we're trying to be so many things, like you said, that's why you want to wish us waking up one day without any of it. We're trying to be so many things. We just find our peace
Mhm.
through letting go of guilt, through loving ourselves. That was the other thing you said, through expressing our voice. That's great. I think if each of us women here can just remember that, letting go of guilt, really give ourselves permission to fall in love with ourselves, and be willing to speak our truth. That is so wonderful. And I think those are three things that all of us can remember. So is there one last thing that you would like to add before we conclude this just lovely, delicious conversation?
Just know that you are loved.
Mm.
And don't let the world show you anything different. Stand very firm in the fact that you deserve love, you will have love, and you never ever will be without love and all the beauty that love brings to you.
So thank you. You were talking about how you wanted to give a little box of gift.
Mhm.
So I feel like you just wrapped up chocolate and ice cream and love and sparkles and stars and unicorns, wrapped all that up and gave it to me in a little gift box. So thank you so much, Sister Friend Marie.
Thank you, Sister Ruby.
Yeah, so we welcome you all to join us in our private community. You'll find more information about it, and then Sister Marie, where can they find you? Where's your website?
Um, well, it's a long story,
Okay,
but
should I just leave
but
it that they can find you in our community and you can meet them there? How about if we leave it simple as that? Okay.
you can just Google Sister Friend Marie and McConnell if you want to add McConnell at the end. I pop up everywhere. Absolutely doable website is up. With
Okay. So let's just leave it at that.
just
You
Google
just
me.
Google her
Just Google me.
and then come join our community. You'll find her in our community. And
Yeah.
again, I would like to leave with the energy of each of you feeling that beautiful gift box, however you like to imagine it, that Sister Friend Marie just offered each of us. Thank you so much.